Welcome back to our channel, Film Booth Recap. Today I am going to explain to you a survival movie by the name 127 Hours. This is a story of a man called Aaron, who loves riding bikes and trekking on different terrains around the world. Once, Aaron goes for a trek on his cycle in a wilderness terrain in Australia. There was nobody in and around that area. It was a remote deserted zone. Suddenly he sees two girls there who have actually lost their way out. He meets the girls and asks their names. They were Christy and Megan. He tells them the way out and accompanies them. And then Aaron tells them that he knows one more alternative route and the girls follow him. And Aaron starts trekking on a narrow cliff. The girls also follow him. And suddenly Aaron jumps from the cliff and the girls start getting worried. Then Aaron shouts from below and asks them to follow him. Actually, he was in an underground lake that was hidden in rocks. The girls also jump into the water and all three start enjoying the splash. After spending a few moments there, they all come out and take different paths, as Aaron had to go hiking in a different area. They take a selfie and Aaron asks when can they meet again? Megan invites him to her house party the next day. After that, Aaron starts his own journey alone and starts hiking, enjoying every moment. He was trekking a very dangerous zone of narrow alleys built in between huge cliffs. At one point when Aaron was trying to take support of the rock in between the cliffs, the rock falls, and as a result, Aaron falls to the bottom of the cliff. The rock crushes his hand and he is now stuck with his right hand buried between the rock and the cliff wall. Though he is not critically injured, his hand gets stuck in between the cliff rocks. He tries his best to take out his hand from them but fails in all attempts. He shouts for help and calls out the names of Megan and Christy, but it was all futile as there was nobody around that area. It was a barren stretch of land for hundreds of kilometers around. Aaron starts taking his belongings out of the bag so that he can plan his own rescue from that situation. He takes out his pocket knife and starts scratching the surface of the rock from the sides so that he may free his arm. But since he was a right-handed person, he was finding it difficult to chisel the rock with his left hand. It was a difficult task, but he keeps doing it with patience, and then by mistake the knife gets dropped below. Picking it up again is a huge task for Aaron as he is stuck with his arm in between rock and cliff. Still, Aaron manages to pick up the knife once again and starts scratching the cliff once again. But he fails miserably as the rock and cliff of that area were made of solid rocks and were not easily chiseled. His knife also loses its sharpness. Then we see that it's already a couple of hours, and Aaron is still trapped deep inside the cliff, and it's night time. He keeps trying every trick he had but couldn't come out at all. Now he has spent almost 25 hours inside the cliff with no relief. He starts his camcorder and starts recording his own video, and tells that he has been stuck there for the last 25 hours. He also tells in the video recording that nobody knows about his location, as he didn't tell anyone where he was planning to go hiking. He also tells that he doesn't have much food and water left with him. While he was recording the video, he feels as if somebody is there above. He starts shouting like crazy, but it was of no use, as there was no one outside. And after a few hours, the night sets in. He was feeling hungry and starts eating whatever little he had with him. And then he recalls that today he was supposed to be at a beer party being organized by Megan at her house. He starts hallucinating and starts seeing himself at the party. This was all happening as he was all alone and was low on energy. This type of hallucination is common in such scenarios. He also recalls the moment when on Saturday he was getting ready to leave for hiking and at that very moment receives a call from his mom that he didn't receive. Had he taken that call from his mom, she would at least be aware of his hiking plan and would have come to his rescue looking after him. But all that is now just a lost moment. On the third day, He makes a pulley and tries to move the rock by himself. But the rock doesn't move an inch. Now his water is also finished, and with no choice, he urinates in the bottle so as to conserve the body fluids. He must drink his own piss if he needs to survive. With nothing to do there down below, he starts noticing minute things around him. He also tracks the movements of insects so that he may know exactly when they would appear. He was stuck so deep in the crack that he only gets hardly 15 minutes of daily sunshine. Out of hunger and thirst, he was growing weaker. Out of sheer frustration and helplessness, he decides to cut his hand off. He ties his hand tightly with a strap and then tries to cut his arm using his pocket knife. But since it was already blunt as it has lost its sharpness while cutting rock, the knife couldn't be used to cut his arm. He again feels stuck there forever and starts hallucinating once again. He starts dreaming about the beautiful moments in his life. Suddenly a thunderstorm gets formed above the ground and he starts filling his water bottle with rainwater. But the water keeps filling in the cracks of the cliff and Aaron starts sinking in the rising water level. Aaron knew that water has a low density, and within the water, one can lift even heavy things with relative ease. He tries to lift the rock once again. Eventually, he frees himself from the rock and comes out of the cliff. He starts running towards his car. And then starts his car and drives away out of the national park. But then we see that it is all just a daydream. He was still there stuck in the same situation. He starts shouting for help. He starts hallucinating again and again. It is now 5th day. He has been stuck there. He tries to keep himself busy with video recording and jokes with himself to keep himself alive. He wishes in recording that he should have told his mom where he is going, or at least the shopkeeper from whom he had brought hiking stuff. If he had told the shopkeeper his plans, still he could have thought of getting help from someone. Aaron keeps recording every moment and was losing hope slowly. He was hungry, tired, and very thirsty. He was getting very weak with each passing moment. He could now feel how a piece of rock has stopped his normal life. After a few moments, Aaron decides to win this battle against the rock. He again ties the strap around his arm tightly and thrusts the blunt knife inside his arm. But still, nothing happens and he gets into the 6th day, where he seems very weak due to the lack of food and water. Now he thinks that the rock was waiting for him for last so many years and it's his destiny. He carves out rip in the rock and writes down his date of birth and date of death. He has given up on his plan of going out alive from here. But on the 6th day morning, he gets a vision, in which he sees he is playing with his future son. He gathers courage and starts pulling his hand in the opposite direction, eventually breaking his hand. And starts cutting his hand with a knife which he has now sharpened a bit. And finally, after so long, on the 6th day, he is free from the trap after cutting off his right hand. Aaron gets emotional and clicks the picture of his severed hand which is still stuck inside the rock. Now he packs his stuff and gets out of the crack. Outside, he finds some water. Though it was not clean water, Aaron was dying of thirst, and he drinks a lot of water and starts walking. He watches the same eagle whom he used to watch from below the cliff. Now he was himself a free bird. He keeps walking despite the pain. And he sees a family who has come there for hiking. He shouts for help and the family calls the emergency services there. Aaron is then taken to a hospital and after a few weeks, he gets fully recovered. After 3 years, Aaron meets a girl, Jessica, who becomes his wife, and then they have a son called Leo. This was the same son Aaron has seen in his dream while he was stuck on the cliff. Aaron is now happy and settled with his family and feels blessed to be alive. He has not given up hiking. In fact, he keeps doing it, and whenever he reaches a new destination, he writes a note there about where all he has been to. This is a true story of the event that took place in April 2003, in which Aaron gets trapped for 6 days and even drank his own urine to survive. When he had lost all hope, he was helped by something divine that showed him the vision of his future son and helped him recover his energy to come out alive. That was all from the video. I hope you liked it. Please subscribe for more such awesome movie recaps and click the bell icon so that you get the notification whenever we post a video.